And good evening and welcome to another edition of the postgame show. I'm Ralph Williams, and I tell you what, I have a great cast tonight right here for the postgame show, the final Steeler one, unless we go to the playoffs postgame show. JT Toth from Draft 412. I have Bubba Brewer from the 3Bs podcast, or his new name, the Steeler Dynasty, I believe it is. And Shane Stedmiller, who's on a lot of Bubba Brewer's programs. And he has his own podcast going on now, and from West Virginia, but he talks Steelers stuff as well. So, all right, and I got Smokin Jim by telephone. Hello, Smokin Jim.
Hey, what's happening, Ralph? Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. All right, guys, let's get started here. We have, we ended this game tonight. Steelers win 17-10. It was close to the score I predicted. I predicted 20-10, and we ended up winning 17-10. We'll get started with you, Smokin Jim. What were your thoughts on tonight's game?
Oh, man, I tell you what, man, nothing more beautiful in the National Football League than a strong running game. Congratulations, Najee Harris, first Steeler running back ever to go for over 1,000 yards his first 3 seasons. And hats off to Mason Rudolph, managed the game through that big 71-yard touchdown pass. And let's keep our fingers crossed now.
All right, Shane.
I don't want to be the guy glass half empty, but I want to be that guy. I watched the Steelers. Yes, I liked watching Mason Rudolph. He had some glimmers of there's promise, but at times they struggled against a team that had 12 guys. Starting guys out. So I just pray that we get into the playoffs, as a fan. But, you said I talk Steelers. I don't talk Steelers football. I express my frustration and concern most of the time. And I'm still a little frustrated and a lot concerned. So.
All right, JT.
We basically played an exhibition game against the Ravens' second team. The thing that I was worried about the most is our offensive line did a horrible job, I thought, of picking up blitzes and on the one it looked like it was Broderick Jones, but it wasn't. It was James Daniels who
Daniels didn't terrible. Yes,
pick up the rush, and that's what bothered me the most about it. It was nice to see the running game running again. They got away from it in the middle of the game, which made no sense, but and they got away from it for something. I don't know what it was. It wasn't for George Pickens because Pickens wasn't involved in the offense. I still think this team isn't a playoff team. I mean, I like to see them get in the playoffs, but come on, guys. I mean, if this ain't a one and done team, I don't think we've ever. You're not looking in the mirror if you don't think this is a one and done.
Oh no, I believe that to be the case, JT. I agree with you on that, Bubba.
Well, maybe I'll sprinkle a little positivity. I mean, I'm so glad we won in Baltimore. I mean, because I, like everybody, hate the Baltimore Ravens. Like JT said, the offensive line was not good on the pass protection. And Smokin Jim reiterated about Najee Harris. Harris ran like a beast. Actually, I think this was Jaylen Warren's worst game of the year.
Yes, I agree.
And nothing with George Pickens. I'd figure, in that last drive, they would try to get one in the end zone. They didn't. And once again, Mike Tomlin not trying to kick that field goal in the end of the second quarter. I just hope that the teams that we need come so we can watch another week of Steeler football, because now it's more of the Mason Rudolph story for me. He had some composure. And when I was talking on JT's show this week, if he gets us into the playoffs and wins one game, his money is just going to be coming to him in buckloads.
Good for him.
Absolutely. Oh, I agree. Yeah,
he deserves it.
He does. You're right.
Steelers have crapped on him, and he's been nothing but a gentleman, nothing but a professional, and hats off to him. And today, a lot of nice quick releases. I mean, they're coming down the middle like it was like rush hour in Manhattan. It's a turnstile. They're just going through there. He saved the day a few times with just getting rid of the ball. So, but anyways.
Absolutely. Okay, Gary on the comment line says, "Yeah, they won. Still not impressed." And from what I saw, and from what the rest of the panel has said here, Gary, we pretty much agree. But I do agree with Bubba, and I do agree with Smokin Jim that Najee Harris ran his butt off today. I think this was probably one of his best games I've seen in a while. And and I agree that James Daniels was a bum today, and Mason Cole. How in the world do you have a neutral zone snap infraction? What the heck is that? I never heard of that, and that was what the officials called on him, and when he had that penalty. All right, we're in the First Line Consulting Services Studios, 1-877-926-6982. Give them a call today. If you need a website built, they will do it for you at a low monthly price. Also manage it and upload your videos. And JT, tell us about draft412.com.
At draft412.com right now, you get on there, sign up for our newsletter. We're part of Draft Nation, who we also have a Draft Carolina, and Indianapolis is about to come on board too. Get on there, check out the prospects. You can basically find almost any player that's eligible for the 24 NFL draft on there, and read about what we think about him, where we think he'll go. Listen to our podcast, all based on the draft most of the time. We talk local sports too, and get on www.draft412.com.
I will tell you this, draft412.com has some great people with great information. Get on their website, subscribe to their e-magazine that you guys have. What is it, $9 a month?
Yeah, $9 a year.
A year. Okay,
Yeah.
well, see, $9 a year is not
fantastic.
Exactly. That's less than a cup of coffee a day.
Well, don't quote me. Now it sounds like it might not be the right price, but I think it is. I think it's $9.
Okay.
Maybe it is $9 a month. You might be right with there. I think it's $9 a month or $60.
So
Still
but anyway, Chris says on the comments here, it seems like a repeat of last season. Yes, it does. Chris, thank you for commenting, Gary, as well. And waiting for the teams to lose to get in, Chris says. We have to do that every year, it seems like, with the Steelers here.
It's terrible. It's like it's just ridiculous on how we could have capitalized on the season this year. We just didn't. And It's been a roller coaster ride since the first game of the season with the 49ers.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, we'll start with you, Smokin Jim. What do you think the keys were to the win to today's game?
Well, the weather had a lot to do with it. I thought the Pittsburgh Steelers were more prepared to play in a driving rainstorm, and that wind was unbelievable. I thought the Steelers were focused. I thought Mason Rudolph proved his leadership ability, keeping everybody together in the huddle. I agree with Bubba. They went away from the run way too early. We could have been up 14-0 in that first quarter if we just continue to run the football. There's only one Jack Delaplane, and Jaylen Warren is not hydroplane Delaplane. You know what I mean?
Right.
He was dropping that ball. He was fumbling. So we know he's not a bad weather back. But other than that, man, we got two very good running backs. Can't say enough about Deontay Johnson keeping his head in the game, scoring some touchdowns, getting that stuff behind him. But, hey, what can you say about T.J. Watt? 19 sacks, man. We take him for granted. But that's not something that this is NFL record areas. 19, he got the record 22 and a half sacks, man. This guy's unbelievable. He wanted to get back in the game. Hopefully, if we make the playoffs, he can find a way to get back in there. He's the leader of that defense. But and I tell you what, finally, I've been calling it Bubba for a long time. Calvin Austin got all the speed in the world. And every time he gets the football on the short side of the field on the punt, he stays on the short side of the field. They got last one. He ran to the wide side of the field, used his speed, man, almost took it to the house, and it was a big play that we really needed down the stretch.
All right, Shane, keys to the game.
I think you guys summed it up with the start and the end, but that middle was, it was not a steak sandwich. It was bologna, chipped ham. You know, it didn't look like they controlled the game. They weren't in control of the game until it looked like the last 4 or 5 minutes. I was very confident, but you know, I had to sit and look at my phone because I was just, you know, you get so just wrapped up and nervous because you don't feel like they control their own destiny, and they don't. We have to. I guess the Steelers. The Bills have to lose and the Jags have to tie or win, right? For the Steelers to get in, there's 63% chance. No tie.
Jaguars have to lose, right?
So,
Jaguars have to lose. So I don't see them losing to the Titans unless the Titans beat them. Titans are terrible this year, you know. So, but JT, you're next.
We need one of the two teams to lose, right? We don't need the Bills.
Yeah, just one or the other. Yeah.
So Jacksonville can still. Jacksonville can win as long as
if Miami wins. Yeah. But still, Miami, you know,
Miami,
you know what Joe Burrow's coming out.
Right, and they have a lot of guys hurt in Miami, so Miami's in bad shape. Bubba?
Well, to me, I don't know why they just didn't keep running between the tackles the whole game. Like they were trying to run outside, and it just wasn't working.
Yes.
Just running between the tackles. Najee, like Smokin Jim said, was just phenomenal today. Last week he was great, but the thing that is unproven that actually is going to get a little prop for me is Connor Hayward blocking on a lot of those inside plays. That was phenomenal. He's not going to get the credit that he deserves.
No.
It was nice to see that one pass by Freiermuth today. I thought he'd have been more. I know they were running the ball, but he'd have been probably the leading receiver today. You know, being a tight end, you know, in the middle of the field. And I'm glad that George Pickens didn't throw any Gatorade or anything like that because he didn't get anything but, you know, a little handoff. So maybe he's getting a little bit more maturity at the end of the season than he had about 5 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think the invite to Tomlin's house, I think, kind of did a little bit of that as well. You know, the Christmas or whatever Thanksgiving, he was invited over to his house. Him and Deontay Johnson. So I think that kind of maybe that was you know, the straw that got it going there. So, you know, instead of the straw that breaks the camel's back. All right, guys, we're let's see here. We punting today. Presley Harvin again shanked the punt. The nice thing is I saw Danny Smith finally get in his face and get mad. You know, that needed to happen. Presley Harvin stuck his hands up in the air at him after he yelled at him for that shank. You know what? His punting has been awful. They should have kept that Mahan here. They had an opportunity. The guy from the Jets, he's not a bad punter. And he ended up going somewhere else and punting pretty well. Guys, what do you think? What's your thoughts on Presley Harvin? Start with you, Smokin Jim.
You know, another bad draft pick. There's been many. He's just one of them. Hey, listen, like you said, there's other punters that's more reliable. This is a guy that's been a problem for the last couple of years, being consistent. Shanks the punts at the wrong time, but other guys, you know, when he did get a pretty good punt off, you know, other guys got him down that ball inside the 5-yard line, and they allowed it to go into the end zone. No excuse for that. They got to tighten that special team up.
Chris said we need to draft or sign a punter. Harvin isn't cutting it. Absolutely. Okay.
Hey, let me ask you guys. Hey, Ralph, let me ask you guys. I've never seen that play before. Has that always been the rule? If you're out of bounds and you down the football at the 5-yard line, if you're part of the receiving team, you get it at the 35. I just knew the Steelers were stuck at the 5-yard line on that one kickoff return. Who was that, number 48? He had his feet out of bounds and he downed the ball that died at the 5. You remember that?
I've never seen that before. Yeah.
I've never seen that either.
Yeah. I don't think any of us have the answer to that. I still want to know what a neutral snap infraction is. That's what I want to know, because that's
probably moving the football.
What they got Mason Cole.
I think that's what he did last week too. You can't bob your head. You can't show any.
Yeah. He's been.
I think that's what that is. I think it's.
Yeah. Well, I know it's not a communication problem. Ray Fittipaldo explained it to me. James Daniels looks back at Mason Rudolph to make sure the play is the right play, and then he taps Mason Cole and lets him know when it's time to snap the football or when it's time for the play or whatever. So that's how that works. Ray Fittipaldo explained that to me from the Post-Gazette, because I asked him, why does James Daniels always turn his head back to the quarterback after he got to play in the huddle? And then he said he turns his head back to make double sure that it's the right play, and then he taps Mason Cole to make sure for him to snap the ball or whatever he has to do there.
How do they have that much communication in that short of time?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Impossible. It's there's no way a guard looks back and gets. He has to tell this play to the quarterback for the quarterback to tell him that that's the right play. That's not going on.
Right.
It shouldn't be the guard anyway. It should be the center doing all that.
Center doing all that. Exactly. And then James Daniels has to tap Mason Cole. So if you ever watch the game as close as I do, you'll notice, and I asked Ray, why does he tap him like that? He said he taps him to tell him when to snap the football or what the play is going to be. I guess, 2 taps or 3 taps means we're running it, or 2 taps we're passing it or something. I don't know how that goes, but that's how Ray explained it to me. All right, JT, Presley Harvin.
I mean, he's had some big punts this year, inside the 20. I'm not gonna kill the guy. He's had some bad punts. He's not worthy of a draft pick that we drafted him at. I don't think he's by no means a person that I'm blaming anything really on. I mean, I know it gives decent field position here and there, but I say in the offseason, you do what you normally should do. You should sign another veteran and have them battle, and best one becomes the kicker. I don't know why they haven't felt that couldn't find another punter the last couple of years, but it doesn't bother me.
Well, he definitely doesn't seem or play like the Ray Guy player that he was when he got that award.
Yes, absolutely.
He did a lot more special teams. I believe they need to do like some he was fakes. They haven't tried any of that
yes, he was number 1 in college football for fake punts and kicks.
Never tried any of that. Tomlin probably never gambled to wanting him to do that. But like JT said, I agree with JT. They get somebody in free agency. Don't draft anybody, because I just think you can get some half decent or a better punter. Free agents. So give him some competition, and if he doesn't work out, cut him.
How about Cleveland? They got burned, which I don't care. I'm glad they got burned. They drafted that kicker from LSU, York or whatever, and they ended up cutting him because he was terrible this year. So, I mean, when you draft kickers and punters, look out. I mean, it's great to get them on free agency. Shane.
I don't know. Let's reach out to our boy in Australia, Mark, and see if he can maybe let us know if there's any Australian punters. Those cats can kick with both legs and their pecker. So that would be entertaining. Say, Mark, hook the black and gold nation up.
What was his name? One from Pitt, Mark Cristobulo or whatever his name was. He was from Australia.
Yeah, that's what we need. Another one of those. You don't have to pay him much. Maybe a couple Sixers and some shrimp and some suntan lotion and a plane ticket, and you got yourself a kicker. A punter.
Oh man. All right, Chris says he's been playing more like Jasmine Guy from the show A Different World. Oh, we got some great coming from Chris and Gary tonight here in the comment section. I want to thank everyone who's watching tonight. This has been we have a great panel here tonight, as always. And next segment here brought to you by Sleep Pittsburgh, 8th Avenue in Homestead, 412-462-7858. No credit check financing. They have a great inventory of some great mattresses at a great price. You won't have to take out a loan. Or you won't have to mortgage your house to get a mattress. I got a memory foam mattress. Call them up today, 412-462-7858 or sleeppittsburgh.com for the best sleep tonight. Okay, guys, this segment we're going to talk about is Mason Rudolph going to be re-signed by the Steelers? And if so, is he going to be the starter or a backup? Let's start with you, Bubba.
If we get into playoffs and he happens to lead us to victory, he will not be a Pittsburgh Steeler because the Steelers can't afford him. Like we talked on JT's program, they're just not going to pay. And everybody needs NFL players, and he's fully capable now. 3 games in a row. If he gets a playoff victory, he's going to be a hot commodity. Pittsburgh can't afford him, so he'll be gone.
All right.
Great
How
story,
about you,
though.
Shane? Oh, yeah. Yeah, how about you,
Oh
Shane?
man, I'm so disgusted. They screwed this one up. I mean, we could have had 2 more victories, I believe, if they would have played him a little bit earlier when Kenny got hurt instead of Mitch. But hindsight's always 20/20. Bubba's right. I think even if the Steelers make the playoffs, he's still going to be just a few digits off on the checkbook for the Steelers to keep him. So, and I think he wants to be a starter somewhere. I think he can be a starter somewhere. I don't know. I don't know who's going to be the Steelers quarterback next year, and I don't believe the answer is Kenny Pickett.
No, I don't either. We'll talk about that later, next segment. Smokin Jim, what's your thoughts? Mason Rudolph, yes or no? Will he be a Steeler? Will he be a backup or a starter?
Well, to get back to the punter, he definitely ain't Reggie Roby, and I think that's who the Steelers thought they would draft.
I forgot to ask you about Harvin. I'm sorry. No, I did get you about
but,
Harvin. Yeah.
But hey, listen, the price tag, like these guys are saying, the price tag is going to be key. You know, Mason Rudolph contracts up. Don't forget what Scott Mitchell got years ago when he went in there for a few games for Dan Marino. Only takes one team. I think the Steelers probably their budget is around $10 million a year with Mason Rudolph. But if he gets, 20, 25 million somewhere else, he's gone. So, it's too bad he doesn't have another year left on his contract. It'd be a no-brainer at that point. But I think Mike Tomlin still loves Kenny Pickett. I think he sees what we don't see in him. So I wouldn't be surprised if they allow Mason Rudolph to leave and put the entire offseason behind Kenny Pickett.
JT?
I think Mason's good as gone. I remember Matt Flynn from the Patriots or the Packers about 7 or 8 years ago, maybe more than that now.
Yeah.
Played one game for the Packers, threw for 390 yards in that one game, won the game, and got one of the bigger contracts at the time. And this is Mason doing it 3 weeks now. And if he gets a chance to perform in a playoff game, I think he's gone. I think it's the Steelers organization's not ready to admit that they might have lost on this one. And I think that Kenny Pickett, no matter what, will be the quarterback next season. Unless I think there's a better chance Justin Fields is here than Mason Rudolph next year.
Wow.
Yeah, those.
I got up. Let me get a drink. I just threw up in my mouth.
We're hearing those rumors too, Russell Wilson, but none of that's going to happen.
JT, wash your mouth out with soap.
All right, guys. Our next segment here is brought to you by Fold and Travel Mobility. Are you handicapped, disabled, in a wheelchair, as I am? Have you felt down? Well, guess what? I have the solution for you. Fold and Travel Mobility has folding power wheelchairs. Check out their selection at foldandtravelmobility.com and 1-877-GOT-FOLD. Call them today. Talk to the experts. I have one. It's making my life better, and I'm sure it'll make your life better as well. Fold and Travel Mobility. Get a folding power wheelchair, and they also have financing available. So check it out, foldandtravelmobility.com. Okay, Chris says, unfortunately, you guys are right. There you go. We're right about that, Chris. Thank you. Yes, we're right about that. Absolutely. Okay, next, we're going to talk about where the Steelers go if Mason Rudolph leaves and they cut Trubisky, or say goodbye to Trubisky, which he's gone anyway. Pickett's here. What do they do? Go get an experienced backup like a Joe Flacco or somebody like that, or maybe try to see who's going to be out there in the scrap heap. We'll start with you, Smokin Jim. What are your thoughts on this?
I missed part of the question. Can you repeat it, sir?
Yes. What if the Steelers get rid of Mason Rudolph? And the Steelers, of course, Trubisky's long gone. He's going to go away in the sunset somewhere. And then you have Kenny Pickett as your quarterback. What do you think the Steelers will do? Go get a veteran backup? Or do you think they'll go into the draft? Or what are your thoughts on the Steelers, what they're going to do?
Well, what I would do, and don't forget that Coach Mike Tomlin was very, very high on Lamar Jackson when he came out that year. So Fields is a Lamar Jackson type, but I think that the price tag will be too high. What I would do if I was the Pittsburgh Steelers, being that Denver is still on the hook for $38 million for Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson threw 26 touchdowns this year and only 8 interceptions. He's an experienced quarterback that can get the ball out to your receivers. He understands the offense. He can play in almost any system, and the running game works with the Russell Wilson. I bring him in for league minimum for 1 year. That way you have, that's what I would do. I'm not sure what the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to do at this point.
All right, JT.
If they get rid of Trubisky's gone, they get rid of Mason Rudolph. They're gonna have to. I'd prefer getting a veteran guy, maybe like a Flacco, or if Kirk Cousins thinks he's at the end of the rope and we can get him here somehow, which I doubt that, but someone like a quarterback that could come in and at least press Kenny a little bit without, and then I would still. We have so many needs in this draft, but I would still look for either be a veteran. One of them rookie free agents after the draft, or 6th or 7th round guy, take a chance. But I would definitely try to get some experience in here at the backup position. Somebody that that will come in and throw the ball. Trubisky, I don't know how they didn't see that before they let him go out there for them a couple of weeks. And you have a guy standing right across from him like Mason Rudolph, who had to look better than that. So I don't get the reasoning here.
Shane.
Russell Wilson wouldn't be too bad, but I'll tell you what, I'm becoming a Joe Flacco fan. I'd love to see him come, and I think he would have every collected helmets like we did on the quarter nickel corner store vending machines, that had the bubble gum and stuff, I think that's what he's doing. He's just trying to collect them all. I don't think he's doing it for a paycheck. He's just trying to make his man cave look good.
There you go.
But Bubba, what do you think, man? I don't know.
Right.
This is just
no Joe Flacco. No Flacco. I understand it's great for him in Cleveland. I'm sure there's some veteran.
He's in the right system in Cleveland.
Yeah,
guys. You think about that. Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt have a good system there, and it's all about systems and offensive coordinators too. Go ahead, Bob. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No. I'm thinking this is going to be the biggest perplexing question in the offseason anyway. This quarterback situation with Kenny. If we don't sign Mason, because everybody's going to be wondering what if. It's going to be the what if situation. Mitch Trubisky I thought he would have been good coming in, and he just pooched the kick. I think
terrible. I think Dwayne Haskins' situation killed his mind.
Yeah, and you said that the other day.
Yes, I did.
Now I don't know. I'm gonna draft 412. I'm gonna have to pay attention to these college quarterbacks. Steelers could get a half decent college quarterback probably in the later drafts because we need bigger need. Well, that might be a bigger need now too. Who knows now after the regular season and we don't get in the playoffs, then we might have to have a quarterback. Who knows? They might draft a quarterback in the first round.
That means we're giving up on Pickett. They ain't gonna.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they're not gonna admit defeat. It's the Steelers.
Well, I never seen.
Smokin Jim said that many times. The Steelers hate this. They admit they're wrong, and they never do. Because they're never.
See Pickett. Pickett was. I didn't even see him on any of my TV time today. He didn't make any TV time. They didn't even talk about it.
I saw him.
I saw him like just getting rained on, basically.
Yeah. That's where I saw him at. So
he got laddered up the wrong way.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, but many times Smokin Jim has said that the Steelers don't want to admit they're wrong, and we all know that. I think pretty much we're pretty aware that they never want to admit that they were wrong at all. DeMarvin Lewell was deactivated today. He's been a bum. And I want to talk about some of these guys that we've drafted that have done nothing, and some of the ones that we need to get rid of in different positions. But this segment's brought to you by Mata Heating and Air Conditioning, 724-201-0500. Mata Heating and Air Conditioning for your furnace needs, air conditioning, snow melt, UV lighting, air cleaners, and much more. give them a call today, 724-201-0500. You ought to call Mata. All right, this next segment, we'll start with you, Smokin Jim. Where do they go from here with some of these positions? The draft's been bad in some of them. DeMarvin Lewell, what players do you think we need to weed out?
Well, listen, from the 2020 draft, the Steelers only have one player left on their team from that draft, and that's Alex Highsmith. And that should be right now the core of your team right now. It's the 2020 draft. There's so many drafts that the players did not pan out, and that comes from the scouting, general manager, and the coaching. Listen, I said back in the summer that the problem wasn't getting down to 53-man roster, was stopping cutting at 53. There's not 40 NFL players on the Steelers roster right now, and if it wasn't for veteran players wanting to come here and play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, we would be the worst team in the National Football League because we flunked out when it comes to drafting collegiate players. So I told you last year that, Leal was not able to play in the 3-4 system from Texas A&M. That was going to be a joke. And this guy don't even get a helmet now. So the Pittsburgh Steelers got to do a better job. And like I said, the one good thing is that the players want to come and play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. In my opinion, it's the first or second best franchise in football, whether you think the Dallas Cowboys are or not. The Pittsburgh Steelers is right up there, and people want to come play for the black and gold.
Okay, next, Shane.
Yeah, the Steelers are a blue blood organization, but to their detriment now. They're resting on their laurels, and they're just not. They're change adverse, and I think that's the big thing for them. They don't want to admit when they're wrong. We mentioned that earlier, but I mean, there are a lot of guys that they pick, and it goes back years and years. And this is with other organizations, just not the Steelers, but I think drafting Kenny Pickett, if we're going to look back on it, might have been a poor decision.
Yes.
And they should have went with their gut. And I think it was what was the name? What was the quarterback's name they were talking about drafting? We all thought they were going to draft, and then Bubba, you had a fit when they drafted Kenny. So
well, they were talking to that
Malik Willis.
Malik, yeah.
He went
from
to
Liberty.
He hasn't done anything. And
yeah,
then,
but
all the quarterbacks that were drafted, pretty much, except maybe Sam Howell, the rest of them haven't done too much. And
but was there a reason he was as far like the Steelers? I was surprised Kenny was still on the board. Why was he on the board? There had to have been a reason. People might have saw, like the Steelers didn't see something in him that no one else saw.
I'll tell you why, Shane. You ready for this? And I think everybody else in this panel knows why. The Steelers took Kenny Pickett because they didn't want to hear no crap from the Pitt fans because they didn't draft Dan Marino. We would have 10 or 12 Super Bowls if they did. They didn't draft Dan Marino, and they ended up eating it. Okay, and now
I want to hear you say it.
Draft Kenny Pickett because Pitt fans were going to scream and holler if he went somewhere else and went to a Super Bowl.
Yep, and that's it. They're the only ones that they're like, we'll take a chance. We'll be the Riverboat Gambler. Yeah, and the other folks knew, hey, they're go ahead, draft them. But
he should have. You know what? I wouldn't have cared if they draft him, Shane, or guys, but they should have drafted him in later rounds.
Later on, absolutely.
Fourth round, because all the other quarterbacks went in the 5th and 6th rounds.
No, they went.
They
went in the
second round. He would have been he had a late second round. I think you could have got him.
Yeah, I think
got Kenny.
Willis went early in the 3rd, and the other guy.
I think
Howell went in the 5th or 4th or 5th, didn't he?
Yeah, Sam Howell went in the 5th.
Yeah, Howell went later. Howell went later than.
Yeah, you could have got him in the second round, late second round.
Hey, fellas, don't forget in the 7th round, the Steelers drafted a quarterback when they could have drafted Brock Purdy in the 7th round.
Yeah, there you go. We let Brock Purdy walk away. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
could have had
Yeah,
him.
So
but
Purdy
that's a
100
$20
teams.
scratch off that's worth $1 million. You never would have known. You know what I mean? That's one of those things. You're just like, how the hell did that happen? So,
But you know what the sad part is, guys, is that quarterback that they drafted never got an opportunity, even in preseason, to actually see what he had for anybody to see, which was
Olawale.
ridiculous.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Chris
Bubba,
Olawale.
Bubba, I agree with you 100%. I said this all along. If Brock Purdy was drafted by the Steelers, he'd be working at a bank somewhere because he would have got cut as well because he never would have gotten an opportunity to enter a football game and show what he can do. You're right,
yeah.
Bubba.
Well, it's systems and it's coaches too, Smokin Jim. You know, Brock Purdy's down there with Kyle Shanahan, who's one of the best offensive minds in the league. And, so that's another thing. And his offense fits him. All right, let's go to the comment section, which is blowing up tonight. Christopher Elliott says, I seen a mock draft today, and the Steelers take quarterback Jordan Travis in the 5th round. Okay. Next, Mark says Marino would never been the Marino of Pittsburgh. Okay. Well, there you go there. And Chris again says we would have been better off with Sean Clifford. So there you go, guys. All right. All right. Let's get ready to wrap this up here. Our wrap-up session is brought to you by P6 Auto Detailing in New Kensington. Call 412-965-6578. Let the experts at P6 Auto Detailing detail your car. It's the beginning of the year, and it's time to get your car detailed because it's probably going to be looking dirty and scrummy and smelly. So get your car detailed at P6 Auto Detailing. Tell them you heard it here, 412-965-6578. All right, let's do our wrap-up session. Let's go around here, and everybody give me a closing thought. Start with you, Smokin Jim.
Well, one closing thought. One thing we know, if Purdy didn't have Shanahan at Iowa State, he passed for 12,000 yards, 81 touchdowns, ran for 1,200 yards, and another 19 touchdowns. The NFL blew it with that guy. But, hey, listen, I'm proud of the Pittsburgh Steelers. 10 wins coming from where they were 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
Everybody was like, break the team up, get rid of everybody, get rid of the coaching staff. Right now, the big question is, Ralph, will the Pittsburgh Steelers hire an offensive coordinator,
Right.
or will they continue to go with Faulkner and Sullivan?
Yeah, that's a good question here. Before we go and do the wrap-up, let's go around the horn here, guys. Smokin Jim brought up a good point. Do the Steelers keep Faulkner and Sullivan at this position, or do they go out and get an offensive coordinator? Now, I heard rumors they've interviewed Cliff Kingsbury, and I heard rumors they've interviewed Byron Leftwich already. My suggestion is, and I know a lot of you think that I'm right, Byron Leftwich and bring in Mark Whipple as a special assistant because he worked with Kenny Pickett at Pitt. Okay, that's my take on this. Now let's go around now. JT, we'll start with you.
By who? Offensive coordinator?
Yeah.
They're gonna hire somebody on the outside. That's my hope. Is they bring Faulkner back as the running backs coach or whatever, and then they hire an outside guy that has nothing to do with the organization at all. Like not a Leftwich, nobody that's played for the Steelers, talked to the Steelers. Just get somebody brand new in there. Yeah, get somebody new in there and let them do the thing.
Some fresh blood. Yeah, I get you. Bubba.
Well, I think I agree with JT. Get some fresh blood out, offensive coordinator out of the Steeler realm. That Kingsbury would be great. He's a great offensive-minded coach. Keep Faulkner as your running back coach, but then you hire, you bring this guy in to keep your receivers, the Pittsburgh mentality. You hire Hines Ward as your receivers coach.
Yes, I agree with you on that one. Absolutely. He should have already been hired, Bubba. He was a graduate assistant or whatever they call that thing here. And then he was working with the Jets there for a little while. And I feel bad for Hines Ward because about a week or so ago, he had some bad news. And the bad news is that he didn't make it in the Hall of Fame. And then he got fired by the San Antonio Bravos of the new UFL Football League. So, but Shane, go ahead with your thoughts on the offense.
I don't know. I like Byron. I like Cliff. I like what they bring to the table. I'd be ecstatic if those guys would be hired. But I think, I'm going to crap on Tomlin again, and he's going to try to find someone in the parking lot of Giant Eagle. So, or
Oh man! All right. Now we'll do closing thoughts. JT.
Well, let me get
Smokin'
my
Jim.
opinion real quick, Ralph.
Go ahead.
First of all, there's no rush in hiring an offensive coordinator. I think if you bring in Falco, you got to get a coordinator that fits him. If you bring in Russell Wilson, who I would bring in, you got to get a system that fit him. If you bring back Kenny Pickett, you got to hire the two guys, Sullivan and Faulkner, because he's a young quarterback. He cannot learn another system. He barely has his system down. You got to keep the system the same for a young quarterback like Kenny Pickett.
Oh, there you go. That's a good thought, Smokin' Jim. And what are your closing thoughts today, or was that your closing thought? Smokin' Jim?
My closing thought.
Okay, good. All right. Closing thoughts. JT, go ahead.
Closing thoughts are, I mean, basically, let's root for Buffalo or Jacksonville or both to lose tomorrow, I guess, as fans. But as somebody that really knows this team and what they need, winning 10 games this year, they're going to take another step backwards. They'd have won 5-6 games. They'd be in much better shape to improve this team through the draft.
Yeah, especially the 2-10 games.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to see them. I love to see the best thing happen, of course. Love to see us get in, see us upset the Kansas City Chiefs, and then all of a sudden, guess what? They're shaking a little bit because over the years we've had Lamar Jackson's numbers. So I mean, that'd be the ultimate prize. But we shouldn't have to wait till Sunday night on week 18 to know if we're going to the playoffs.
Yeah, and sit here with our fingers crossed or biting our nails trying to figure out what's going on with this. I would love to see us play the Ravens again and beat them for a third time this year. That would be nice. We've done that before. Shane, your closing thoughts.
I'm hoping that Taylor Swift is in attendance when the Steelers play. But for the Steelers to win, the keys to victory, Taylor Swift has to show up. But with the Steelers' luck, she's going to get some bad fries on that Permane Brothers sandwich. She's going to have the shits, and she's not going to make it. And then Kelsey's going to play good, and the Steelers are going to lose, and we're going to be back to square one. But my closing thought is this. The Steelers are a great organization, and the best thing about the Steelers, it's not number 7, Ben. It's not 43, Troy. It's the fans. It's people like you, Ralph, JT, Bubba, Smoke. It's us. We make this organization what it is when they're not killing it. And this year they're not killing it. So the best thing about the Steelers is this fan interaction and us bitching and moaning. That's all I have to say.
All right, Bubba, your closing thoughts.
Well, I just got something on my phone from my buddy Freight Train from the Steelers Realm podcast, and I hope I hope this is not true. And I've been perplexed here the last couple minutes. Watt has been a grade 3 sprain, is a complete separation from his MCL. So,
and Bubba, before the show, I told you this is not a good thing. It's not. It's like I saw the knee go back. It wasn't hurt feelings. It was serious injury.
I mean, and the sad part about it is this roller coaster ride of a season. It's heart wrenching that we have to wait. Tomorrow, 8:00 at night, and see or whatever. It's ridiculous. We shouldn't have to do that every year after every year. I know Mike Tomlin's going to go down into the Hall of Fame as a great coach. Yeah, everybody wants to play. Everybody wants to play for him. But I mean, in every other organization or any other job, if you don't produce, you want to win championships. Winning seasons is okay, but it's not the upper pinnacle of the cherry on top. We need a new defensive coordinator. We need to get another offensive coordinator. Kenny Pickett probably will be the quarterback for the near future. The biggest thing right now that I can take on this Steelers season is the last 3 weeks of Mason Rudolph, because he got kicked in the head, kicked in the teeth, almost run out of Pittsburgh, and he had probably the greatest redemption story in a long time in Pittsburgh Steelers football. And if we get in by the grace of God, I'm going to be shooting and rooting for him to achieve something greater, make his money somewhere else, because the Pittsburgh Steelers ain't going to pay him. And it's going to be a shame if he gets a win because TJ Watt won't be playing and he'll maybe never get a playoff win. But Cam Hayward would, so I'll have to deal with that if we get in.
Okay, it's Houston 7 and Indianapolis 3 right now in the first quarter. So there you are. Also, I want to give my closing thoughts, and I said 10-7. I said that this year that the Steelers were going to go 10-7. I also said it's better to be lucky than good. The Steelers haven't been good all season long, but they've been lucky because there were some people who made some plays when we had to, and we won a lot of one-score games. But when does the luck run out? I think it runs out soon, and it ran out in the 2-10 games when we played New England and Arizona, and then we lost to Indianapolis. Okay, I thought the Steelers were going to fold the 10 after Arizona, and they didn't. I will give mediocre Mike credit for one thing, and that was his late surge again this year, and he'll get another contract extension. And you know what? They're 10-7, like I said they would be. All right, at the beginning of the season. Mike Tomlin will get his extension. The national media will be back. Mike Tomlin's a great coach. Dan Orlovsky must have said that 4 times tonight about how great of a coach mediocre Mike is. Okay. Bill Cowher once said, if you're not in this business to win Super Bowls, you shouldn't be in it. Steelers coach mediocre Mike shouldn't be in this business because you know why? He's not going to win another Super Bowl as long as he's the coach of the Steelers. And I feel bad for the Steelers because they're not going to have a Super Bowl. And I feel bad for the veterans that have been on this team for a long time, like the Cam Haywards of the world, TJ Watt, and a few other guys. And they're not going to win a Super Bowl because of mediocre Mike Tomlin. So that's my final thoughts for tonight. All right. Anyone else have anything to add before we wrap it up? No? All right. So for Smokin Jim Frazier, Shane Stedmiller, Bubba Brewer, and JT Toth, I'm Ralph Williams, and I want to thank everyone who commented tonight. Chris, Christopher, Mark. Also, let me see who else was on here. Gary. I want to thank all you guys for your comments tonight. It was much appreciated. All those who listened out there or watched out here the entire year. We'll be back with some more post-game shows. We're going to do Penguins, Pirates, and a few other ones. We can't do the Maulers because they're not around this year. But before we go, guys, the new UFL Football League. What are your thoughts on it? I think they picked the teams that drew the most fans between both groups, the USFL and the XFL. Let's start with you, Smokin Jim.
Anything I can gamble on, I love it. So I love the USFL football, man.
I like the fact that the St. Louis Battlehawks sold out all their games already. Their games are sold out. You can't get a ticket. And this is good for St. Louis because if they want to get a football team again, this looks good that maybe they'll get another football team. All right, JT, what do you think of this UFL?
They picked the teams they should have. I mean, Pittsburgh's a good football town, but Pittsburgh's really a one football town. I don't care who you are. There's the Steelers and Steelers only. I enjoyed the Maulers. I watched a couple of their games last year, but overall, the Pittsburgh fans aren't going to come out in droves to watch them. So I thought they did a good job. And like I said before on one of your shows, Rolf, the NFL just got to do a better job of making this a minor league system for them, having a way for guys to, whether it be insurance reasons or even pay.
Well,
Let this be a minor league.
That minor league system there. What was it? The American Athletic Football or something they had. Hines Ward was in charge of it. That AAC or whatever that was called, they had that. That was their minor league system, and then they blew it. And then they had the NFL Europe a few times too. That blew it. So,
the NFL Europe I thought was pretty good for like a 3-year period, but they just gotta. I mean, get a 6 or get a 12-team league and have 3 teams on a team to supply the players.
Like a developmental league. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. How about you, Bubba?
Well, I did like the Maulers. I watched them all last year, and it was a shame they didn't win a championship but didn't have a quarterback. But also, too, like JT said, it's people around Western Pennsylvania is only going to support one team. It doesn't matter. Yeah. And as much as we like, football, the 5 of us can't support the Maulers, and another team like that. But I think, since The Rock, and he's great at promoting, and, they combined it with the United States Football League, they got the teams in the cities that they need. Now, if it goes good with some ratings, maybe they add a team every year and get to a 6th division and get 12 teams, and see how that goes, where they can market it and great places in the United States and go from there. And also, too, it's great for these players to play to try to get an opportunity to play the NFL. A lot of players from XFL, United States Football League, played, in the NFL this year. So it's an opportunity. And playing in them leagues is, I think you get like $60, $75, $80,000 for 10 weeks. And hey, that's good money. But I mean,
Yes.
you got a chance to get in the NFL and make more money,
More money, right.
Hey, God bless them. It's all about making the
that's
bread.
like anything else. If a job comes up and you're making $10 an hour and a job comes up for $20 an hour, you're going.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Shane.
I don't know. I'm still bummed that the Pittsburgh Rebellion from the Lingerie Football League is no longer with us, and we now have the Extreme Football League. So that's more news to me. Yeah, that's more news to me. And I guess I'm not following because I still thought there was a Lingerie Football League. I was sad when I found out, like right before New Year's. My wife asked me what's wrong, and I'm like, nothing. I can't share it with you.
Yeah, there you go. Now my thoughts are, and this is what I got from everybody. Well, if the Maulers played here, we would support them. And there were some rumors that they were going to be playing at Highmark Stadium over at Station Square because Acrisure Stadium would have been too much or too big for them to play in. And at a high school field or Highmark Stadium would be the perfect opportunity. I had Matt Grubba on my on my podcast, and I had him on my radio show, and he told me 2 times that the Maulers were welcome to use Highmark Stadium if needed. So for the USFL to lay an egg on that part and then have everyone drive 100 and some miles to Canton, Ohio, it got to a lot of people. I try to promote it in a positive fashion that, look, great trip idea. If you don't want to waste your money going to Disney World or whatever, you can see the Hall of Fame, go see the Maulers for $10 a ticket and enjoy Canton, Ohio. So, I mean, but a lot of people emailed me, punched me in the mouth and said, how dare you? I'd rather go to Disney World or Florida or South Carolina or wherever rather than go see the Maulers in Canton. So there you go. But anyway, all right, guys, thank you for participating in today's show. It's been a great season here. And if we have a playoff game, we'll be back with another post game. And next month in February, we're going to start some Penguin post game. And then as soon as the Pirates start up, we'll do a few Pirate post game as well. For JT Toth, Bubba Brewer, Shane Stedmiller, and Smokin Jim Frazier, I'm Ralph Williams. Have a great one. Thank you for watching and be safe.
Have a good one, guys.
Good night.
Hey, Bubba. How you doing, bud? There's a smile.